Hello and welcome back to the channel. The pleasure is all mine to be joined by the power of the internet, Raul Marquez over Zoom. Raul, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Great to be here.
I should address you properly as well. Former world champion Raul Marquez, now wearing another hat in terms of joining the announcement team for Salita Promotions. Big Time Boxing USA returns February 20th. Raul, tell me, what can fans expect who are going to be at the arena live or tuning in on DAZN on February 20th? What can they expect to see on this card?
Well, first of all, let me say, I'm very excited to get back on the mic. I love to call fights. I have a passion for it. Being that I was with Showtime for 12 years, calling fights on Showtime Championship Boxing, and of course on the, the well-known platform Showbox, the new generation, where you saw, prospects and contenders, be in fights that are very competitive. 50-50 fights. And some of them would take their first loss. Some of them would, win and move up in the boxing rankings. That's what we should expect on Big Time Boxing USA. I think it's a great thing for boxing. I think Dimitri Salita, Salita Promotions, Big Time Boxing USA. It's a great platform for fighters that are up and coming prospects, or even contenders, because that's what we're gonna see. In Audra Holmes against Marlon Harrington. Audra Holmes is a USBA champion. I remember when I was a USBA champion. 2 fights later, I fought for the world title. So these guys are very close to getting a shot at a world title or something even more meaningful for their career. But talking about the platform, it's awesome because fighters need that. Fighters need to stay busy. You can't afford to fight when you're coming up. You can't afford to fight 1 or 2 fights a year. That's for the big time names, maybe the fighters that are champions. And I'm excited to be a part of this. You also got guys like Joseph Hicks, who was a really good amateur. Joe Pagan, that's another guy that's going to fight him there. He was a national champion. And those are the type of fighters that you're going to see. And to bring this kind of a environment to Detroit. When you think about Detroit, you think about Kronk Jim. I think about Emmanuel Stewart. I think about Thomas Hitman Hearns, Milton McCory, those kind of fighters. So it's going to be exciting for the city of Detroit to have those kind of competitive fights. And that's what we want to see. We hope they're very competitive from what I see on there, on the card, just taking a glance at it. I think they're very evenly matched fights. And let's see how it turns out.
Well, stepping up to the main event here, Audra Holmes Jr. versus Marlon Harrington. A lot of pressure, I guess, on Marlon Harrington's shoulders, bouncing back off the defeat. I know he's had fights since, but looking to, in the greatest spotlight in his career, really put on a performance, try to get the victory. And in his hometown of Detroit, too, you feel the pressures on him to really perform.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're going to fight in your hometown, there's that pressure. You fight off the emotions of your fans, your family, your crowd. But you got to be very focused. Especially somebody like Harrington, who's a knockout artist. He's 10-1 with 9 knockouts. He's knocked out every one of his opponents. Except one. We had him on the platform Showbox. He lost. He took his first loss against Marquise Taylor. And Marquise Taylor is a guy that a lot of people don't want to fight. It has a very difficult style to beat, very herky-jerky, just awkward type of style, And I think Marlon Harrington, I think he learned a lot from that fight. That's, when you fight on platforms like that, it's a win-win situation. If you win, you move up. If you lose, then you learn from it. You learn from your mistakes. And look at him now, ever since then, he's got 2 consecutive knockouts. And this is a great opportunity for him to be fighting for the USBA title in his hometown. But, he's got to fight very composed and not rely on his power. When he fought Marquise Taylor, he was relying on his big right hand. He was looking too much for the knockout. And especially against a guy like Holmes, who's, I believe, is a boxer first. He's a good technician. He's a boxer first, likes to keep everything at mid, long range. He's going to move. I believe that Harrington needs to break him down. He can't rely on just one shot and try to land the big bomb, especially when, you're in your hometown. Of course, you want the knockout, but he's got to be able to set that up and break him down and look good, at doing it.
And what of Ali Ismailov? I know there's quite a few whispers about him and how far he can go, but those whispers can turn and get even louder should you get the victory over Britton Norwood. But in that light heavyweight scene, which is really moving right now, especially over here in the UK, especially at the top of the card, June 1st, when you've got Beterbiev versus Bivol happening as well, you feel that Ali Ismailov can be one of the next crop that can grab the titles, but must get the victory on February 20th.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got to take care of business. He's got Norwood in front of him, a guy that is coming to win. It's a great opportunity for him. We also had Ali Ismailov on Showbox, and he didn't impress. I'm gonna be honest with you. He didn't impress like he was supposed to. But he did fight a guy in Foster that was a difficult style to fight. A guy that moved, that didn't stay in front of him. And we know Ismailov, he looks for the knockout. He's a pressure fighter. He comes forward. He tries to cut off the ring and make the ring smaller. He's the kind of guy that's going to suffocate you. He's gonna force you to fight. But he's a very talented guy. Comes from a big amateur background, big amateur resume. I know he's ranked on in the top 10 and 2 associations, and that it's a very good possibility that he could get in the running for a fight like that. I mean, or for even a minimal fight. When you're talking about Bivol and Beterbiev, there are some big names, but I think he could move himself into a good position where he could fight a bigger name, and then look into fighting the bigger names.
And what of Joshua Pagan, who steps up into a battle of the undefeateds against Dwayne Taylor? You feel like either fighter really has got to grasp this opportunity and take that moment. But in a world of social media, you got to keep your name in people's mouths. You got to perform. You got to maybe produce something of a highlight reel to keep your name in people's mouths.
Absolutely. And this is the type of stuff that you see on this kind of platforms of Big Time Boxing USA. This is what we're hoping to see and continue to see. And I hope it continues. You got 2 undefeated fighters that are not scared to take a loss, because like I said, this is a win-win situation. It's an opportunity. You give visibility. The boxing media, the boxing fans are able to see you, show your talents. And if you take a loss, you learn from it and you move forward. And if you win, then you move up in the boxing world. But for Pagan and Taylor, especially Taylor, this is a test for Taylor, because does he really have that knockout power that his record says? He's 7-0 with 7 knockouts. I'm huge on amateur background. Pagan is a decorated amateur. He was a national champion, and he's a good fighter. So this is a really good test for Taylor. To prove that, does he really have that one-punch knockout power? Because when you got 7-0, 7 knockouts, I don't care who you're knocking out. You might not be high caliber fighters, but that means you got some kind of power. And if you could knock a guy out like Pagan in his hometown, that creates a high real knockout. I mean, that would be big for the hometown guy Taylor.
It would be big indeed. And what of Rickson Develle Smith too? Have you managed to run your eye over Rickson Develle Smith? Again, 2 undefeated fighters. I know that as well when it comes to Develle Smith. A lot of people kind of liken him to some of that style of Tommy Hearns there, being from the Kronk gym, tall and a big puncher as well too. But for your eye, what have you seen of him?
Yeah, that's exactly what I see, man. He's another knockout artist, and he comes from the Marlon Harrington camp. They're from the same camp. And his record says it all. 7-0 with 6 knockouts. He's going to be looking to land that big bomb. And both of them for him, not only for him but for Hicks. They're fighting those guys from Argentina. Their opponents. These guys are hungry. It's a hit or miss with those guys from Argentina. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they surprise you, but sometimes you might get a future star in the Argentinian. So I'm sure they're going to be some really good tests for the prospects, for both of those prospects, Hicks and Smith.
Now, Raul, whilst I've got you here, I'd like to talk of some of the wider boxing sphere, if you would. Just about your old divisions. First of all, the super welterweight division and the middleweight division. Of the super welterweight division, what do you see of the health of the division right now?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What do you see to the health of the super welterweight division right now? What do you think of the current caliber of fighters in that division?
Oh, the 154-pound division is kind of open right now. There's guys are moving up to middleweight. Guys are moving up to 147 or 154. I think you got Crawford. That's maybe he's the big star right now because he beat Errol Spence, and but there's a lot of talk about him fight. There's a lot of names there. There's a lot of names that Crawford could fight. You also got they're talking about him and Canelo, but I think Canelo, he's a little bit, he's heavy. He's a heavy guy, and he's got other opponents that people want to see him fight in the super middleweight division.
Do you think we'll see Crawford and Canelo ever mix it up?
I mean, they're two big names. I'm not gonna lie. If you're asking me, I would love to see that fight. I would love to see that fight. I'm sure they would. They could come to an agreement and do it at a catch weight. But Canelo is a star. He calls the shots. He's the face of boxing, in my opinion. But I believe because of the big name, they're big superstars. They're big names. I would love to see that fight, and I believe a lot of fans would love to see that fight down the line.
Who would you favor?
Oh man, that's a hard question. Crawford, man, he really surprised me, and I saw him not too long ago when my son fought here in Houston, and I went up to him. I said, "Man, you surprised me with Errol Spence," because I thought Errol Spence was going to win that fight, and but his skills are amazing, man. He's a really good technical fighter. His power, his focus, his discipline inside the ring and outside the ring. He's always stays in shape. He's a guy that's really dedicated. I really don't have a pick right now, man. Let's wait for the fight to happen, and then we'll figure it out.
There are boxing fans, though, who are a little bit disappointed. They were waiting for an announcement for Canelo today on TV Azteca.
Right.
For the wider boxing fans, there wasn't really anything there, but there's rumors of it being he's fought Jermell Charlo, now taking on Jermall Charlo. A lot of boxing fans kind of wanted a different fight, though. Do you feel the same way? Were you looking for Munguia or Benavidez in the opposite corner as opposed to Jermall Charlo?
Well, put it this way. Look, Canelo, I said it at the beginning, he's the face of boxing. He's the big draw. He's going to do what he wants to do. No matter who he fights, people are going to tune in and watch. And if he wants to fight the other Charlo and, say I beat both brothers, that's good for him, But, we're hoping that down the line, we see him fight the fight that I want to see, of course, and everybody wants to see with Munguia or with Benavidez. The fight that I would love to see would be against Benavidez. That's the fight I want to see, and I believe that Canelo will get there. It just he's gonna do what he wants to do, and time will tell. But I'm sure before he's out of the boxing game, we will see him fight those names that we're talking about, Munguia and Benavidez. I think Canelo has really never said no to a challenge, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that in the near future.
And of your other division, middleweight, it feels like it isn't as hot as it used to be with the likes of Golovkin and Canelo being absent now. I mean, that leaves opportunity for other people, but right now it's not as fiery as it used to be, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember those fights. Even Charlo, when he was at 160, when he was in his prime. Who was the other guy? Derevyanchenko. Triple G, Canelo, even Derevyanchenko, who gave Triple G, a really good fight, gave Charlo a really good fight. Those type of guys, it was very competitive weight division, But yeah, now it's not. I feel like it's not like it used to be, and it seems like everybody's moving up to the super middleweight division because they're looking to fight Canelo, because that's the big name and that's the big payday.
Well, a couple of final thoughts I need from yourself. First of all, we're not getting Fury Usyk, which would have been this weekend, but it's not to be. It's going to be rescheduled now. What are your thoughts on that cut? Do you feel that it changes your pick at all as to who wins the undisputed fight?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, and talking about that fight, that's the fight that everybody wanted to see, and I wanted to see. I like Fury. I've always liked Fury from the beginning. I love his. He's just a big, huge guy, and he could box too. His herky jerky style with power. I'm very impressed by him, and hopefully that fight happens down the line. But if I had to pick, I'm going to go with Fury.
But as a fighter, would you look at that cut as a weakness now that it's happened in the camp and it's happened before in the Wallen fight, although a few years back? Would you see that as a
Oh,
weakness?
absolutely. I mean, when you get cut like that and during the fight, and and during sparring, I mean, the you're gonna target that eye, you're gonna target that cut, you're gonna try to open it up, you're gonna try to make it impossible for Fury, uh, bring those emotions, when there's blood all over your eye, you can't perform the same way, but uh hopefully he had a good plastic surgeon, sew it up really good, and hopefully, yeah, I mean, he's got a good cut man that could take care of him in the corner. He's very experienced. He's been in championship fights. He's been in situations like that, and I think he'll pull through.
Is that enough time, 3 months, for that cut to heal and have the appropriate sparring in the camp?
I don't think so. 3 months, no. I don't, because you know what? Me as a fighter, I had the experience. When I fought, Keith Mullins. On the De La Hoya Camacho card. That was the co-main event. It was a brutal fight. I got banged up really bad. I got cut up. That was in September of 1997. And early December, I was in there with a knockout artist, which is Yuri Boy Campos, and my face just didn't hold up. It was about 2-3 months. My face didn't hold up, and we were not as experienced as we are now. Me and my father and my team. I should have waited a lot longer for that cuts to heal, because I was in September, and then you still got camp, and find your boy Campos in December. That wasn't enough time for my cuts to heal, and I believe that he should wait longer. He should wait longer, at least half a year.
On the other side of the heavyweight coin, Anthony Joshua takes on Francis Ngannou, who had a lot of success against Tyson Fury, sending him crashing down to the canvas. Do you feel that Francis Ngannou can do one better and beat Anthony Joshua?
With the heavyweights, anything could happen, man. Ngannou's a big guy, strong guy, shows power, and it's possible. You land that right shot, the correct shot, and they're heavyweights. Somebody's gonna go down.
Raul, a pleasure speaking to you. Looking forward to February 20th. Leave the final word with you. Why should people tune in on February 20th to Big Time Boxing USA?
I think it's a good start, for Big Time Boxing USA. It's a great platform, for prospects, for contenders, soon to be hopefully world champions. We hope this platform continues. This is only the first show. I think it's great for boxing. Dimitri Salita is doing a good job. Salita Promotions, and make sure you guys tune in February 20th on the Zone.
Raul, pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much. We'll catch up very soon.
Thank you.
Good man.